Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. It's the final month of the year. The deals are the biggest they've been in 2024. At Norman Oak Ridge Ford is how you're going to get your next vehicle. Huge discounts, low interest rates. Inventory is dwindling. So it's kind of like looking through the bin at Zeller's way back when. You're looking for that particular G.I. Joe or that Star Wars character. You knew it wasn't going to be the one that you really, really wanted, but because it was 99 cents, you just bought it and you bought a bunch more. That's what's going on in the car business right now. Massive discounts. You get what you get and you don't get upset. I'm going to be the guy who's going to help you usher it through. Treat yourself to something really nice before Christmas and do it through me and support the podcast in the process at Norman Oak Ridge Ford. Norman, London, Mike in Buffalo. The Maple Leafs 7-3 in their past 10, Mike. 2 straight wins after 2 losses. They beat the New Jersey Devils 2-1. Who'd have thunk they would have won that game after being outplayed? Anthony Stolarz, the hero, and then, of course, Austin Matthews is one of the goals of the year. At the top of the crease, just pops it under the banister. Leafs win 2-1, and then they go ahead and get a workmanlike victory against the Ducks 3-2. Anthony Stolarz, the hero the night before, going down with an injury. Joseph Wall coming in, Mike, and this might lend to your narrative in one sense about Anthony Stolarz being injury prone, but in the second sense of Joseph Wall getting an opportunity to grab the ball and run with it. How are you tonight, my friend?
Good evening, Norm. I'm well. Well, I have a little bit of a question, and of course, Monday morning quarterbacking or hindsight is 2020. But when you take into consideration that Stolarz played as phenomenally as he did against New Jersey, and he was the only reason that team got a point, let alone 2.
Right.
And he made, I think it was 38 saves on 39 shots. Why in the hell are you starting him 2 days later against the Anaheim Ducks? Now you could say, well, he played for Anaheim, so it's a little bit of I don't care. I mean, you got a goaltending rotation right now with 2 goaltenders who have a history of injury. And we all know that injuries occur more often when players are fatigued. So it would have made a lot more sense to play Joseph Wall against Anaheim and then Stolarz against Detroit on Saturday and then Wall on Sunday against Buffalo. Now, I'm not to say that he wouldn't have gotten hurt in his next game. You don't know that. All I'm saying is fatigue sometimes brings on injury, and we don't know exactly what it is. The report is it's day to day. It's not serious. That he may skate on the weekend. They've called up Dennis Hildeby, and now for back-to-back games, Detroit and Buffalo. In Detroit on Saturday, at home on Sunday afternoon against Buffalo. One game you're going to have Wall probably against the Red Wings, and then Hildeby plays against the Sabres. I mean, I give Stolarz a lot of credit. They did not deserve to get a damn thing out of that game.
Right.
What did they have? 1 shot on goal in the first period, 8 shots on goal after 2 periods. They get a goal by Pontus Holmberg, and then they get the Austin Matthews goal, which is a great effort by Matthews in overtime. They did not deserve 2 points. They may not have even deserved a point. And that sort of goes along with the thing that, when we share our little notes about what we're going to talk about, I say, well, they're not playing very well. And, maybe I'm holding them to a high standard, and they're first place in the Atlantic Division, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games, as you just said.
5-2 with Matthews back in the lineup.
Right. But since Matthews has gotten back, they have not played very well. And it's almost like, okay, Austin, you're here. You're making 13 and a quarter. Pony up, buddy. And I'm like, I'll say this. They cannot keep winning if they play this way with Matthews. They need to play like they did without Matthews with him, and then they will win some games, and they will be like teams like Florida and Washington who are playing great hockey. if they're going to maintain a level and finish first place in the Atlantic Division, they got to learn to play with Austin Matthews like they did without Austin Matthews.
This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. OG's Conference, thanks for being here. We thought we'd do a Friday frenetic show because Sunday we will not be collabing. We'll do something on Monday after the Leafs, as Mike puts it, loses to the Sabres in the first of 2 games with the Buffalo Crew next week. And we'll make sure we have plenty of content for you. On the Stolars thing, Mike, you're cherry picking, right? If they would have put Wall in and he got injured, you might have said, hey, why doesn't Stolars play back-to-back? He stole the game in New Jersey. Why wouldn't he play again, Mike? And what the hell are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? And I'll let you respond to that. But real quick, one thing that is really shocking is that the Leafs have 85 goals this season. That's 5th in the division. I mean, that's somewhere mid-pack in the league. Like, name 4 better scorers than the 4 guys that the Leafs have had the last decade. Tavares, Marner, Nylander, Austin Matthews. They're 23 goals behind the top scoring team in the division, the Florida Panthers. I mean, they can score, but the Leafs have traditionally been one of the top 5 scoring teams in the league. And when I say traditionally, I mean annually. So I get where you're coming from here, Mike. The good thing is they're not letting a lot of goals in. And the key will be keeping that trend going. And if Stolars is out for any considerable period of time, regardless of what the reports are saying, then that could be tested. I mean, the defensive aspect of how the Leafs are being successful this year. And then if you couple that with the fact that they're not scoring a ton, then maybe trouble is on the horizon.
Well, I mean, you've been without Austin Matthews for, I think it was 3 weeks. William Nylander and Tavares have been doing much of the scoring. You've got a player you're paying $3.5 million, a little more than that, in Max Domi. He has no goals. I mean, so
right.
I mean, we recognize and we realize that Craig Berube was coming in here to make this team a more complete team, to make them more of a two-way team.
Right. And honestly, Mike, in the initial going, we were wondering if the players were going to buy into the coach and if the coach is going to modify his, coaching style to accentuate what the players could offer. And here we are, almost 30 games in, pretty much the top team in the division, not letting a lot of goals in, a 200-foot game. They have bought in, Mike, and he's done his job.
Yeah, I mean, they're buying in, but the whole purpose of this is, and I'm not saying it's the same thing as what's going on in Buffalo, but it's similar. You have an offensive team who 2 years ago scored almost 300 goals, but they gave up 300.
Right. So
then last year, Don Granato, who's no longer their coach, said, we've got to be better defensively if we're going to make the playoffs. And they reduced their goals against or goals allowed by 50. They also reduced their goals for by 50, and they still missed the playoffs. Now, the whole point here of the Leafs is, do you need to get better defensively? Absolutely. I've been crying about that for years. But you need to retain the offense and play better defensively. And again, they can't. Now, they're playing good defensively. They're playing sort of playoff hockey right now.
Right.
But they need to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And they're really not doing it. And really, it's sort of, some of the things that they're doing, and again, there are not many things to complain about what Craig Berube has done in his short tenure as Leafs coach. But when Max Pacioretty comes back and they put Pacioretty on a line with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, two players that he hadn't played with before.
3 points last night for Patches.
Right, but then you just made my point. When he was playing great, who was he playing with? He was playing with John Tavares and William Nylander. So they bring back Pacioretty and they put him with Matthews and Marner, and they put Matthew Nyes, who had been with Matthews and Marner, and they put them with Tavares and Nylander, and it doesn't work. And then, you switched it back, and Pacioretty scores 2 goals against Anaheim. I don't understand that. If something works, you go back to it. If something doesn't work, you change things. And I don't understand why Berube went that way. He realized that it wasn't working, and in the third period against New Jersey, he switched back Pacioretty with Tavares and Nylander. I don't know if they're worried about like a lack of speed on that line. All I know is that they dominate the puck. They win puck battles in the offensive zone, and they score goals. That line scored all 3 goals against the Ducks. It was, again, one of the only reasons that they won that game. That stick with it. I mean, if Pacioretty can't stay healthy, and he has a lot of injury issues going back a few years, I get it, but you're not exactly preserving him, playing him with Matthews and Marner as opposed to Nylander and Tavares, who he worked well with.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, right? Patch is a veteran. You plug him in, he's going to do what he can with what he has left to make the team better. But you can't build, like, I don't think you build lines around this guy. You can't build an offense around this guy because he could be gone for 15 games, right? You get what you get out of this guy. And keep your fingers crossed that he can stay healthy. Do you think Craig Berube does he look at this team and think, regardless of how I slice these guys up, the mix master, we are going to succeed. So you know what? We may get on a roll, and I may pump the brakes on it to try something different, because it's all about experimentation at this stage of the game. We're still in 2024. Maybe experimentation is a good word for it.
Mm-hmm.
The games with major consequence have yet to come. And if he believes that regardless of how he puts this together, this team is going to hit the century point in terms of how many points it accrues, then we may be a little disappointed that he pulls off the gas on something that we really, really like. But it's all about kind of getting a sense of who can do what with what. And then when the real important time comes, he'll have a sense of how it all comes together, put his lines in place, and then go for it. But this is kind of an experimental time for him, and he's got a team that's capable of winning regardless of how you put things together.
Well, I think it's an evaluation period. I mean, I think you're right. It's first half of the season, but right. I do think that certain things that are working, you stick with. Like, they started off the season with Morgan Rielly and Chris Tanev, and they went to Tanev and McCabe as a shutdown pairing, and that has worked very well. And Rielly with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, I think, has worked fairly well. So, I don't think that was the plan, but it's ended up that way. So fine. And the bottom pairing, Connor Timmins has played great on the bottom pairing, and Simone Benoit or whoever else they mix in there, that's worked as well. But the thing in terms of experimentation, and it may turn out to be great, but again, me being sort of the nitpicker and getting a little bit of a bad whiff of something, the 5-forward power play is an atrocity. It is terrible. I mean, how many times in the last few games that they're using this 5-forward power play with Mitch Marner on the point?
Explain what that is for our friends who don't understand what you're talking about.
Well, most power plays, the unit is usually one defenseman who's a power play quarterback, which for the last few years has been Morgan Rielly, and 4 forwards, usually 2 guys on the half wall. With the Leafs on their number 1 power play, it's Matthews and Nylander as the trigger men. One man in the slot, and one as the bumper who's in front of the goalie. They're using Matthew Nyes in front of the net. He's big, he's strong.
So what don't you like about it?
What I don't like about it is defensively, if the other team breaks the other way, you've got a forward playing defense. And more than a few times over the last few games, you've had Mitch Marner playing a 2-on-1, or Austin Matthews playing a 2-on-1 as a defenseman. I mean, you're opening yourself up for shorthanded goals, which we know are momentum killers. And it really isn't. It really hasn't been that effective. I haven't seen I mean, I don't know what the percentages are. All I know is
the Leafs are the bottom third in the league in power play goals, right?
And that's the thing. This is experimentation because their power play is not working well, and they're trying something different to see if it works. This doesn't work. I mean,
Right.
Okay, Morgan Riley doesn't have a big shot at the point, but he's a good distributor of the puck. All the teams that defense the Leafs power play, they know Morgan Riley is usually not going to shoot the puck, so they defend the guys on the half wall, Nylander and Matthews, and then it leaves it to. I mean, I think more than anything, this is what they want Matthew Nyes in front of the net. They want him on the first power play. I get it, and they don't want to take anybody off the power play, but your power play is a disaster waiting to happen if you have 5 forwards out there.
Hey, look, the Leafs got to have a good penalty kill, 7th in the league, and if for a work in progress to be first in the league and to have given up as few goals against as they have, that's amazing. Stolar's being out, Wall taking the reins, Hilda be coming into off spell, whatever Wall can't do. We shall see. But, the team was successful without Austin Matthews. He's come back. They're 5-2. You look at them, you don't really like their play, but they're still 5-2.
Right. No.
Regardless of who's in and out, if this team fancies itself a contender, it has to continue head down and go. There are enough guys on this team to supplant someone, at least temporarily, and fulfill the role. At this stage of the game, Mike, for this chronology, the 10 years these twos have been together, if they are not comprised of enough players to be professional, to lead, be among the leaders of the pack, then fuck it, forget about it all. To the contrary, they have done really well. They have a coach who's got a lot of heart. They have a general manager who kind of looks at things a little bit different from his predecessor. And here we are. And one thing that hasn't changed is Mike Augello nitpicking about everything. But that's why we love you, Mike.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll agree.
That's why you're here. But you pay the big bucks.
But I'll say this. It's like you always hear this old adage about teams that are in a slump, when they're just about to get out of the slump, they are playing hockey that most of the time they would play winning hockey, but they would still lose the game. It goes that way when you're about ready to go into a losing streak. This team has played games that they probably should have lost, but have won. They should have lost against New Jersey, but they won. They maybe should have lost. They played a bad 2 periods against Nashville. They won. I didn't think they played very well against Chicago, but they won. Now they were 1-1 in the 3rd period against Washington, and the puck went off the referee, went right to a Washington player, and he beat Stolarz, and they lost that game. And I don't think they played very well against Pittsburgh, but Wall played great. They were down 3-2 with the goalie pulled, and Pittsburgh won. So every Leaf fan they'll take the 2 points. Right. That's not an argument. The argument here is, are you playing well enough to win and get those 2 points with regularity? And right now they're getting the points, but they're not playing the hockey that they need to get it with regular.
So Mike, when they were winning 7-5, we weren't pleased. They win 3-1, 3-2. We're still wondering if there's better. Is that just us being fans at this stage of this group's development, of this stage of this group's maturation, at this stage of another season in which we are skeptical that the group can do anything of substance in the playoffs? And isn't that okay? Like, what the hell is wrong with that?
Well, ironically, a bit of wisdom came out before the New Jersey game from an unlikely source, Sheldon Keefe, when he was asked by, I don't know if it was by Toronto media or by New Jersey media, about the Leafs and about I think it was about their lack of success in the playoffs. He said, well, when we got to the playoffs, defense was not our problem. Mm-hmm. And he's right. They just, for this team that scores all these goals in big bloody bunches.
Right.
What's been the problem the last few years? The problem is the offense has dried up.
Right.
And okay, they're playing playoff style hockey in terms of the way that they play defensively, but they're not. I mean, do the goals that they're scoring right now strike you as playoff type goals, dirty goals? No, they're just not scoring enough of the the usual goals that they score during the regular season. And I don't know if it translates to what they need to do in the playoffs. We won't know until the playoffs. And I'll say this over and over and over again. This season starts in the middle of April. And I mean, getting into the top 8 is the only thing that matters. And then once they get in the top 8, it's what they do when they're there.
Mike, without me having to go through, the minutia of the stats table, do you know if the chances are down for the Maple Leafs? I mean, they're 23 goals behind the top scoring team in the division. They've got more goals than they have given up goals against, which is really low, and that's something different. Mm-hmm. But do you know if chances are down? Is it just a Berube hockey, defensive style hockey, and is it just something we're going to have to buy into, or is it? Look, at the end of the day, one of the best scorers of this generation has been out for a considerable period of time.
I may be proven wrong, but I would find it hard to fathom that chances were up from last year. You've got 2 offensive lines that are excellent. You've got the top line with Marner and Matthews, with Nyes most of the time. Right. And now the number 2 line, now that Pacioretty is back, Pacioretty, Tavares, and Nylander. Your third line, Domi has just come back. You have Fraser Minton, a rookie, playing, and he's played okay. I mean, I think he's played well enough to stay. But Pontus Holmberg on that line, and really that line's not scoring a lot. And then your fourth line is, I mean, I like what Steven Lorenz does because he penalty kills and he's tough. Connor Dewar, I think, has been adequate as a fourth line center, and Ryan Reeves is a waste of time. And so it's like you're going to have players coming back. You're going to have David Kampf coming back. Bobby McMahon will come back. I don't understand how they justify, if they're bringing back Kampf and they're bringing back and I know Dewar's in the lineup, and they're bringing back Kampf, and they're bringing back McMahon, how Ryan Reeves stays in the lineup. You don't take Fraser Minton out of the lineup. You don't take Holmberg out of the lineup. You don't sit Nick Robertson.
Has Berube been asked about this?
I don't know. I mean, but he should be, because I
want to show from Ryan Reeves. Sorry to interrupt. From Ryan Reeves, I want a show per night. I want somebody flattened. I want a hit. I want some posturing. I want face washing. Start something, right? I don't know. Have a fight. Get suspended for the next game just for shits and giggles, and come back and prove. Earn your paycheck, right? And it's like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. He's just there, as the OGs and converts who love the guy will remind us. He's there just in case. But when the shit has hit the fan, what has he done? And again, he's so minute when it comes to the impact of players and what's really going on. But because he's earning over $1 million a year, and he's in the lineup, and he's taking the place of somebody who could contribute more, especially for a team that's about 20 goals shy of where it should be, do something. Let's make it fun.
Well, I mean, the issue here with Reeves is that, he's supposed to be a security guard. He's supposed to, okay, I'm here. I'm that nuclear bomb that if you take a swing at Austin Matthews, I'm going to be there to hold you accountable. Okay. But there have been games this year, against Florida, against Boston, where he's done nothing. Now he's in the lineup against Anaheim. Anaheim has Radko Gudas and has Jacob Trouba, who they just got from the Rangers.
He's not even the penalty minute leader on this team, Mike.
Yeah, I think Max Domi is.
No, it's Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
It's all. Oh, geez, there you go. Wow, then that tells you something, because Oliver Ekman-Larsson is not exactly John L. Sullivan. So it's like,
right. Make your point on Reeves. He's not going to hijack the show, but it has to be said.
But no, my point is that you spot him in the lineup against teams that you think have physicality, and he needs to show up in terms of reflecting that physicality. Whether
is he being spoiled? Is he being spoiled just by getting this? He's played 21 games. Is he being spoiled, and is he really kind of lost sense of why he's out there? And maybe Berube, he's Berube's boy, and maybe that's one of the shortcomings of the Chief.
I don't think he's being held accountable for by the same standard that other players are. Like, okay, other players, like, say Robertson is expected to score. If he doesn't score, he's not in the lineup. Yanni Hakanpää is supposed to, now when he's not hurt, which has been most of the time this year, Yanni Hakanpää needs to block shots. That's his role.
Right.
Ryan Reeves' role is not to do pirouettes.
Right.
It's to beat the crap out of people or hit them.
Yeah.
And he has not done that to my liking enough to be effective. And when it comes to, when most of the players are healthy, when most of the forwards are healthy, okay, I'm putting Bobby McMahon in, I'm putting David Kampf in, and I'm sitting Ryan Reeves.
Well, I hope somebody's got to ask Craig Berube about this and softly confront him about what's going on. The essence of Ryan Reeves and his role in theory, tantalizing. I'm excited about it, to have that guy on this team that can score and defend and play 3-zone hockey. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not seeing it. Hasn't happened. And based on his track record, I don't think it's going to happen, especially at his age. Mosquito Murderer, Holmberg, 2 goals in 27 games. Domi, nothing in 21 games. Dewar, 0 in 13 games. Reeves, of course, no goals in 21 games. Kampf, 0 for 18. Robertson, 2 for 23. Lawrence, 3 goals in 29 games. Mosquito Murderer, thanks so much for dropping that. OG's Converse, leave a comment now. Okay, starting from Mosquito Murderer's comment, we're going to get into the comments for the next 15 minutes. If you've left a comment, I can't go back, do it now. But Mosquito Murderer makes a good point. There are a lot of guys who are not scoring. If the 8 of those players have combined for 20 goals, Matthew scores another 10. Mm-hmm. That's 30 goals. Guess what? The Leafs are right there among the top scoring teams, not only in the division, but in the entire league. If they're defending the way they are, they may have picked up another win or two, and at the very least, have extended their plus minus and have given us a little bit more belief in what's going on, Mike.
Yeah, but okay, of that list that Mosquito Murderer put out there, of those players, who were you expecting to score? Not Pontus Holmberg. I mean, he didn't. I think he scored in single digits.
Right. But you'd want a goal from Domi, like
right.
Robert.
Oh yeah, but Max Domi scored 8 goals last year. Right. Now the point is that none of these guys, except for Robertson, if Robertson had been played at higher in the lineup, has really.
But that 8-goal year, Mike. I mean, that's not Max Domi. That's we're expecting at least 15.
Never been a big goal scorer. Okay. This is the thing, and Max he may have been playing injured, and obviously he was out for a couple weeks, so that definitely affected him. He's not a center. He is not. I mean, he played his best hockey last year. Now, they played him at center because they needed to, but he's not a center. He's a good playmaking winger. He played his best hockey playing with Austin Matthews and Tyler Bertuzzi playing the wing. And, I mean, now, this is – and we'll talk about it until March the 7th. You know that, this team thinks that they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. Where are they going to add? They're going to add up front. I mean, defensively, they have enough depth for once. But at forward, you probably could use a third-line center, or you could use a top 6 left winger.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have a ton of offensive depth. That's why they may give Fraser Minton a nice long look because, the kid's got 2 goals, 2 assists in, I think, 6 or 7 games. compared to some of the players that were on Mosquito Murderer's list, that's like Gretzky.
Mosquito Murderer, man. He's the guy. We refer to him. We defer to him. He's the guy. He's the guy who gives us the comment that we build our show around. Mosquito Murderer. Thank you so much, Zach. Moving Robertson is becoming a humanitarian issue. Let the guy go somewhere. Look, I'm hearing, well, put him on a line with some scores. What are you talking about, man? I mean, I understand allowing your talent and allowing your resources to thrive in the best position possible, but this team isn't built for Nick Robertson. If he is out of place and you have too many of him, and there's nowhere for him to play, find a new home for him, as Zach talks about. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, there's kind of a offense laying in wait. But Mike, am I wrong here? Is this the guy who could ignite this team? And he's just being suppressed. It's not fair. I mean, this isn't Nick Robertson's team. At some point, you're going to have to prove your worth, regardless of the kind of ice time you have, and regardless of who you play with. Old school style, figure it out on your own. Maybe I'm wrong.
He's been given very little time playing in a scoring role. He's been, at best, he's played.
What is he doing on this team then, Mike? It doesn't make a lot of sense. If they haven't highlighted him.
He's on this team because if they tried to put him through waivers, he'd get claimed.
So what? What are they doing then? If they're not going to pedestalize him and put him on the first line and give him a chance to soften the blow, to white glove the guy and give him the opportunity, what are they doing if he cannot figure it out for himself? Put him.
Well, I think eventually this year before the deadline, he's going to get traded. They may, because he's young and because he does have talent, they may be holding out to move him as part of the deal for, that third line center or for that winger. He's young enough and he's making a very low salary. And I think the reputation out there, being Jason Robertson's brother, having the offensive skill that he had in the OHL, never being really given a scoring role in Toronto. I mean, I think that eventually he's going to get moved to some place where he's going to be given the opportunity to score. You're right in the sense that he doesn't fit this team because he needs to play what he played in the preseason, which was a top 6 role. They never gave him that opportunity. They clearly, he's not a big kid.
Like there's no room for him.
Right, but that's okay. Then what you're doing is you're going to use him as an asset to exchange for a player that can help you. Okay. But you're right now, it's like, we're 26, 27 games into the season, and probably he's not going to get moved until the 55 to 60 game mark. So
he plays for one of the most formidable offensive teams in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly not scoring to their capability, but one big game from Matthews and a goal from Domi and a couple of the tertiary guys chipping in, and then they're off to the races. This is a tough situation for Nick Robertson. Let me ask you this question. It's hypothetical. The Leafs have 5 games in 7 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of injuries in the top 6. Nick Robertson's kind of standing around. Craig Berube looks at him and pencils him in. How do you get him going? I mean, you give him an opportunity to play some top 6 minutes. He's 5 games in 7 nights. How would you situate him in a kind of a do or die scenario? Nick, you got this week, buddy. Show us your worth. We're going to give you an opportunity. Mike Augello is going to pencil the lineup. Here it is.
I put him on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. Not to say that as but if you're talking about like raising his value or evaluating what his place on this team is, I'm playing him on the second line. I'm not going to put him on the first line because Nyes is a big physical forward and he works well with Matthews and Nylander. I'm not saying like obviously Pacioretty has worked well with Tavares. The thing you have to worry about with Pacioretty is durability. But if you're saying, okay, we need to plug him in because we have a short situation in your lineup or in their lineup, when they had 8 forwards out and Robertson was one of the healthy players, they still played him on the third line.
Right.
because either they don't trust him defensively or he's not big enough and he gets forced off the puck. I mean, there are smaller players in this league that do play top six roles. Alex DeBrincat does play a top six role in Detroit. You know, there are smaller forwards that now, is Nick Robertson as fast as DeBrincat, or does he have edge work as good as DeBrincat or some other of these, Jake Gensel or the other small forwards? No, but I don't think really he's been given the opportunity to flourish in Toronto. He scored 15 goals last year. And he played.
Can he do anything other than score? And honestly,
no,
if all you can do is score, Mike, then you're not good enough.
Well, no, but I'm sorry. For a team that we've talked about that we just said is in the bottom third of the league in scoring, a guy who can score is valuable.
Okay, so he's there. Craig Berube's running the team. Brad Treliving he's the guy who puts it all together. The Leafs employ $1 million worth of brainiacs who metrically look at this team and decide the best course forward. How is it that he is still languishing where he is and not put in the top six and not 20 goals in so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to answer our friend Mosquito Murderer again here, because he said, "Okay, Michael, so should we just expect zero offense from the bottom six?" Well, no, we shouldn't expect it, but right now that's what we're getting. And if you're getting zero offense from the bottom six, at least what you could get out of them is jam. And that's like okay, I would rather have Nikita Gurbiankin playing on the fourth line than Ryan Reeves, because Nikita Gurbiankin is going to hit people.
So what about, let's finish on Nick Robertson, and I'll get through some more comments here.
Yep.
So we're on that.
But
how is it that there were so many cooks stirring this pot and he's right there in front of them? Why hasn't he been elevated to this point?
Well, because he hasn't been elevated because, I mean, as you were trying to make the point, he's a smaller forward who's not particularly great defensively, whose one good aspect is offense, and this is a team that has Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander.
But they're all good defensive players. William Nylander's become a better defensive player. Austin Matthews is a good defensive player.
Right.
From the time he was a London Knight, Mitch Marner's been one of the best two-way forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The guy was nominated for a Selke. I mean, John Tavares, you can rely on him. If you want to play with the big boys, do it right. Do it in all three zones.
Right, but there are players in this league that don't play all three zones. And Nick Robertson,
they have 300 plus goals. They're 30 plus 30 plus a season, not some kid who's through his agent wants to be traded.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Do I think Nick Robertson is going to get a top six opportunity with the Leafs? No. I think he's going to end up being traded.
Right.
He's going to end up going someplace like Utah or Seattle or someplace like that. Right. And I would not be shocked if a couple years down the road, Nick Robertson scores 35 goals.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's life, right? Yeah. That's life when you're a team that is a perennial 100-point squad that either wins a division or finishes near the top of the division. It's usually a top 10 to top 5 team every bloody year in the conference, in the entire league, and does shit in the playoffs. This is where we're at, right? All of these guys are just bursting at the seams for more, and maybe it's this year. OG's Converse, like the content, subscribe to the channel. Just a few more minutes. We're going to go through some of the comments. Share what we do with your friends. Check out Convo Shorts. Mike and I will break up this episode into, I don't know, maybe 10 little pieces, and you guys can listen to those over the next week. And then obviously Mike and I will reconvene on Monday after the Leafs lose to the Sabres. Andrew Wallace, I don't hate Reeves, but both Mike and Norm make the right points here. Facts, I think. So again, I mean, Ryan Reeves does take up a lot of space, not only in this show, but in this brain of mine and of yours.
In my head, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, rent free. But the thing is, he's there, right? He's there for, the thing about it is you look at it and go, okay, well, the Leafs are so top heavy and they've been so, successful, relatively speaking. You've got a guy who really doesn't need to be there and another guy who is there and could be utilized so much better. It's remarkable. Like, it's an embarrassment of riches, because on this team 15 years ago, you couldn't afford to do that, because most of the guys were just out of place and not playing to where they need to be. The fact that this team is as good as it is, and you've got players being mismanaged or just who really should have be shipped out but eating up minutes, is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, there are players on this team right now that probably will not be on this team by March the 7th. Right. Robertson is one of them. I think eventually what will happen is he will be used as a piece in a deal to acquire a player that helps. And I, like I said, I agree with MM. I don't tire of saying mosquito murderer.
Yeah.
If this team is going to have success in the postseason, they're going to need their bottom six to score. And, you know, whether that means lengthening your lineup by moving Max Domi up into the top six and moving down a Marner or a Nylander to be able to give you three lines of offense. Maybe you play one of those guys with Fraser Minton if you think he's the third line center. I mean, you could go out at the deadline and trade for a third line center, but that's going to be expensive, and they don't have a ton of assets in terms of draft picks, because a lot of teams just want draft picks. They have prospects, but they're not giving up Easton Cowan. They're not giving up Ben Danford. They're not giving up Grabyankin or some of the kids that they have down with the Marlies. So they're limited in what they might give up one of the young goaltenders, because you can have too many of them. So they could give up an Akhtiamov or a Hildeby. If they've targeted one to think that the one is better than the other. But, you know, that's the whole point here is, if they're going to trade a player like that, or if they're going to trade draft picks, or they're going to trade some of their prospects, it better be somebody that's impactful, like a Ryan O'Reilly or somebody of that ilk.
Well, if the Leafs continue to play at this clip, where their goals against is significantly lower than the goals they score, when you get to the deadline, you got to take another run at it, right? I mean, doesn't matter what we think of this team as of right now, and all of this skepticism surrounding how we believe the playoffs will go based on everything we've seen of this team in the playoffs over the last 8 to 10 years. If this team is in position, it has to go for it.
Agreed.
It does not matter if we believe this team can do it or not, Mike. If it's in position, it has to take a run at it, because you just never know.
Well, I agreed, but you know, Treliving and Berube will be better judges of that, because they're the ones who manage and coach this team. But I mean, as educated observers of this team, I mean, there are not many forwards in this league better than Austin Matthews. And you've got Nylander in his prime and Marner in his prime. Tavares, who seems to have visited the fountain of youth and is playing like he did 3 or 4 years ago.
That's not uncommon in hockey, Mike, especially with smart players.
So you have healthy. So you have to strike while the iron is hot, and maybe add that one piece that could help you in your goal. But I mean, there still are going to be holes. You're not going to be able to fill all of them, and if you try to do that, and you give up a bunch of assets like Kyle Dubas did a couple years ago, and trade for O'Reilly and Shen and McCabe and Sam Lafferty, and you give up multiple first round picks and second round picks, and all you do is advance one round, and you lose in the second round, right. And then you're looking at your draft capital after that, and it's virtually non-existent. That's counterproductive to having this franchise being excellent for years to come. So, I mean, I think right now they need to figure out, and they've got time, but they need to figure out internally what players in there the top six is going to work. You have to figure out whether, what combination of the players that they have on hand can make the bottom six work.
Right. Let's just go through a couple of comments. Mr. Wallace is back. I'm done with showcasing Robertson. Off the pod already. And this was not meant to be beat the shit out of Ryan Reeves and Nick Robertson 101. This is not meant to do.
We just end up there. That's all.
Yeah, we just end up there. Michael Borland, maybe Robertson is the hockey equivalent to a 4A player in baseball. Too good for the minors, not good enough for the majors. Mike, in the right position, if you're just looking for a sniper who can develop, maybe on a team that is burgeoning with offensive talent and can't do much else. Nick Robertson's kind of that guy. J.R. Gabriel, he hasn't been elevated because he has zero hockey sense. He doesn't get it. He needs to be moved. I think with I don't know if it's a consensus, but the majority of fans, Mike, just want to win. We're really, we just want to win, right? We're over the Marner versus Nylander battle. This is as unified as a group of hockey fans as I've seen, which is really good. It's just win, baby. It's not about white gloving any particular player. We're sorry, Nick. We just don't have enough time to cry over you and lament, how you're being either mismanaged or not given an opportunity. There are other irons in the fire that are more important, and that's this collective group. All of the guys who've been here for the past decade, leading this team to where it hasn't been before, and that's a deep run in the playoffs. Last couple of points to you, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, if you could convert him into a useful player in your bottom six, the Leafs would do that.
If he played defensively, he was aggressive.
He's not going to.
I know that, but if he did, then
right. And if my aunt had gonads, she'd be my uncle. I mean, I'm sorry,
Mike. How are your Bills doing, by the way? Anyway,
well, they're playing Detroit on Sunday, so
they're one of the best teams in the league, and you're like all caps freaking out about them on Facebook. Well, what did you say? You think this team can't play defense? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, no. When you give up 44 points to the LA Rams, and then the next week they score 4 field goals against San Francisco, then I wonder about the Bills defense. But that goes without saying.
Right. Spike 11. Is Spike 11 an OG? Do we make him an OG?
Yeah,
I know he's a convert.
Spike is an OG.
Well, Mike, welcome to the Spike. Welcome to the OG club, buddy. You're officially.
Although I'm gonna ban him from the comments by saying "Go Lions."
Listen. There's Spike 11. There's Mike 11.
Unless you're talking about the BC Lions, then I'll accept it.
Oh my God, is it gonna be Lions Bills? That would be amazing for people in Southwestern Ontario. I was telling Melissa, my wife, I'd be all Bills, 100%. I know a lot of Lions fans, but I would be, growing up watching Herb Weinstein and Carol Jason and Ed Kilgore.
The fires in Tonawanda, film at 11.
Hey, buddy, WBW or WIBW or whatever the hell it was, watching wrestling.
WIBB.
And hey, you know what? All the great cartoons Saturday morning. We didn't get Commander Tom and all that shit. It was the greatest. Anyway, I digress. Spike 11. Leafs need a legitimate third line center. You think, right? And maybe can that not be the project for Treliving and his group of thugs when they're sitting around, talking about what this team's all about and what they'd like it to become? Is that not be the focus, the center of all the attention?
I think the focus right now between now and the deadline is to see whether Fraser Minten can be that number 3 center, because I think Max Domi has proved he can't be. I think Max Domi has proved that he is a better fit on the wing than he is at center. So they're gonna give Minten, who played his 10th NHL game, I think in the last game, I think they're gonna give him some rope and to see whether. Or, if they think he can get more experience and, a lot more playing time playing with the Marlies, and they can move him back down there. But I think that they have to make a determination of whether he can be a third line center. If he can, then that's one less thing that they have to check off the ledger, and then they can maybe focus on adding a left winger. But that's the thing. You need to find out whether you can solve these problems internally before.
Will they trust it though, Mike? Will they see somebody who's coming on and then replace them with an also man for the run? I mean, that's something that's fully capable of happening.
Well, Berube is different than Keefe. Keefe didn't seem to trust anything. And I'm not stacking here, but no, he'd always, okay, Timothy Liljegren is playing great. Okay, no, we've got to go out and get Ilya Lyubushkin again, and we have to go out and get Joel Edmondson again. Why not play Liljegren? I mean, I never understood that. Now, if they thought he was injury prone or whatever, and they needed, okay, fine.
Right.
Yeah, but I think Berube is different. I think if he evaluates some of these players internally and he likes them, I think he's going to go with them. I think that's just his MO.
Hey, listen, we've got Jimmy Roberts. Hello, guys from Australia. Did you know it's 2027 in Australia? That's how far ahead they are.
Yeah.
Trump has already been impeached again when it comes to Australia time.
Let's not go there, please.
I'm kidding. He's still president. So leave it with that. Snake Plissken. Wow, down under. How cool. It's amazing how many people in the chat grew up watching Buffalo television. I mean,
call me Snake. No, call me Plissken.
Oh my God. What is that from?
Escape from New York.
That's right. Kurt Russell. That reminds me, I need to watch Christmas Chronicles again. And it's funny, I saw a couple of pictures from Escape to New York on Facebook, and I'm like, gotta watch Christmas Chronicles.
Okay, just to finish off the show, just put Michael Matthews' comment about the weekends in Buffalo.
Right.
Okay. Michael, I lived 3 blocks from where Uncle Sam's used to be. Now I was too young. Uncle Sam's was a bar in Cheektowaga, which is near the Galleria Mall. And a lot of major acts played there when they were just starting out,
like Rick James.
No. I'm talking about like the Police. Like the Police played there when they're on their first tour. I think my brother saw them. There was like 5 people in the bar.
No love for Rick James. Like
why
wouldn't he have played?
I mean, Rick James. I don't think Rick James played Uncle Sam's because Uncle Sam's was more about
like a rock bar.
Right. But more touring bands from outside. The Police played there, and U2 played there.
That's amazing.
The day that John Lennon was assassinated, they played in Buffalo at Uncle Sam's, and they misadvertised U2. They called them V2. So there's something was there.
You should write a book about the history of Buffalo.
No, thank you.
It's remarkable. OG's Converse. It's amazing to have you with us tonight on a Friday, right? It's Frenetic Fridays with the Leafs Convo, and then we'll do Manic Mondays. Hopefully it's a couple of wins in the bag, a couple more wins in the bag for the Maple Leafs, Detroit, and then Buffalo, respectively. Our friend Mr. Augello, who is in Cheektowaga, New York, does not have much faith in the Maple Leafs beating his beloved Sabres because it just never works out. Remember those old days at HSBC Arena, and it was like the Leafs at their klutziest versus the Sabres at their peak. You know, Chris Drury and Danny Briere, Ryan Miller, Lindy Ruff, the coach, and
you're bringing back wonderful memories.
Good God.
The year that the Sabres, I think it was 2007, the Leafs were in there with Andrew Raycroft in goal. That's why I remember it so well. Right. They were leading 5-2 in the third period with about 11, 12 minutes left to go. Blew the lead and lost.
Is that the McClutz game?
It's not the one. Not the one where McCabe put it in his own net. No.
Not that one. There was another one.
But you had Andrew Raycroft. Need I say more?
Right. Yeah. Hey, real quick before we go, Michael Borland, best place for wings in Buffalo, Mike. I mean, Buffalo wings they're legendary. And my son asked me, Buffalo wings, Dad, does that have to do with Buffalo? Well, yeah, it does.
It's all personal preference. The common place now that if anybody asks where the best wings are, they say Bar Bill, which there are 2 locations. They're excellent. Don't get me wrong. There's a place in South Buffalo called 911 Wings that are very good. If you're just looking for like a place that has multiple locations, Duff's is excellent. Mm-hmm. My personal favorite is Elmo's. It's a place on Millersport Highway that's really good. But, there's so many places in Buffalo that have good wings. I'll just recommend. No, well, not back. Okay. Simon Bar is shit. It's terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, Anchor Bar is so it's a tourist trap. It's overrated, overpriced. It's bad.
You will not be showing your face at the Anchor Bar anytime soon, Mr. A.
No, you won't. You'll never catch me there. Never, ever, never, ever.
Hey, Mosquito Murderer, something nice to finish the show. My dad used to always look forward to hearing Mike and Buffalo after every Leaf game on the Andy Frost radio show. I don't know if it was called the Andy Frost radio show.
Oh, Leaf Talk. It was called
Yeah,
Leaf
we get what you're saying. I would do a show with Mike on the Hook, AM 980.
Yeah.
A chorus product back, 2009 to 2012.
I still have some of the
audio. And then I would listen to you after we would do our show.
Yeah, I still have some of the audio of that. I recorded myself just, maybe someday I'll put that out on a website. Mike and Buffalo's greatest hits.
No, we would absolutely love it, and then we can link it here. It's been a lot of fun. How about an hour on a Friday night? Amazing. So Wings coming up, Sabres coming up. It's just business as usual. It'd be nice to see a little bit of a scoring flurry with more top-notch defensive play backed by great goaltending. Is this an opportunity with Anthony Stolarz recovering from his lower body injury for Joseph Woll to regain his number one spot?
I think that right now they're very careful about overworking either one of these goaltenders. I mean, the thing is, it's like, if you remember, the Bruins were intending on using both Swayman and Ullmark as a rotation in the playoffs until Swayman had that great, outing against the Leafs, and after they played Ullmark and Ullmark lost, then they went to Swayman for the rest of the playoffs. I don't know if that's the plan. Whether because Stolarz, he has an injury history. He's never played over 8 games.
Right.
And Woll's injury issues are well chronicled. So they may decide they're going to need to use both goaltenders in the playoffs. We'll see.
You know what, though? Craig Berube has a history of seeing something that ain't broke and then fixing it. So just buckle up for the ride. It's been a lot worse, and it's been pretty damn good in 2024, soon to be 2025. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. OG's Converse. What better way to spend your Friday night than with Mike and I doing an hour-long convo? Just out of the blue, a sneak show. We appreciate you. Nothing for Saturday, nothing for Sunday when it comes to the convo, but Monday we will be back. And I'm begrudgingly betting that the Leafs are going to win that game, Mike. So prepare yourself. Spike 11, great show, guys. Where is he? Oh, there he is. No, that's Alistair Arbor. Geez, the comments are coming fast and furious, and we're about to leave. Thank you very much, Spike 11. For Mr. Augello, I'm Norm James. We really do appreciate you. Support this podcast any which way you can, guys. Let's grow our base. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Let everybody know about what we're doing. The best is yet to come, not only for the Maple Leafs, but for us in this season. We'll talk to you soon. The Convo will see you on Monday. Peace out.